Welcome back, Blake Cousins here, Third Phase of Moon. You've seen the videos from around the world. People claim they have the power to summon UFOs with their minds. All they have to do is ask for it. We've got the man himself, seen by millions from around the world. His videos are famous, but now you're about to meet him. His name is Jim Martin from 1091 Media. You've seen the documentaries. Well, he's one of the men behind it. The newest documentary, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, a producer on it, Jim Martin. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Blake. I'm excited to be here today at Third Phase of Moon.
Well, you know, people have seen your videos, but they didn't get to meet the person behind it. We like to kind of give credit where credit's due, from the people who shot it, and, you know, tell people where it was shot and what were they thinking. It's kind of important, in my opinion, to get people's accounts of their encounters. Jim, what do you attribute these encounters that we're going to be viewing in this episode? We want to thank everybody who's joining us right now at Third Phase of Moon. We're doing it. Jim, what do you think is the correlation between you and these encounters?
Well, I attribute the sightings I have to a process called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind Protocol, CE5, or as other people refer to it, UFO summoning. And that is where you use your mind to project thought and intention to produce a UFO encounter and experience, what we call human-initiated contact. I learned this about 6 years ago. I first saw Dr. Greer's movie Sirius, and that really opened up my mind to the possibility of using thought to initiate contact. And then from there, I met a local legend in Los Angeles named Robert Bingham, who taught me firsthand how to call UFOs using thought projection. And then from there, a series of really incredible sightings ensued over the past, 5-6 years.
All right, we're looking at an incredible sighting called the Tower of Light. We're showing it to you. I want to get everybody's opinions. What do you think Jim Martin captured? Where was this sighting and when?
Thanks for covering it. So this was actually in Long Beach, California in 2018, November 15th. And this was another sighting I had during a wave of sightings we had in Long Beach, where we had a couple of these really strange, what looked like moving portals through the sky. This object, when I saw it with my naked eye, just looked like a big blob of light. But once I put the camera on it, I saw these smaller orbs below it, which seemed to be materializing in and out of our time-space. I shot this with an infrared camera, so you can really see the details of the UFO. With my naked eye, I could only see this big bright light. However, the infrared camera shows these smaller orbs appearing and disappearing on footage.
So let me get this right. Did this kind of catch your eye in the sky and then you started to film, or were you calling these entities or beings extra-dimensional possibly, or extraterrestrial? What made you look into the sky, or did you call them?
So that's correct. So sometimes I'll go out when I want to skywatch and I'll do the protocols, I'll do the meditation, I'll make a very specific request to see the UFOs, and then they'll appear. This time, though, I was just outside gardening when I saw this big white object floating very low in the neighborhood, and I ran and got my camera, put the lens on it, and then I saw how unusual the object was.
Wow, we're looking at even more evidence that Jim Martin's been capturing over the years. What were you thinking on the ground? Was this a massive ship, in your opinion? What's going on here, Jim?
Yeah, so again, this was about 2:30 in the afternoon in Long Beach, California, and I saw this. It just looked like a stationary light. I thought it was moving so low and so slow, it must be some type of weather experiment or weather balloon. But when you really look at the footage and you see the smaller orbs blinking on and off, and just the larger object itself, I just can't make I'm not sure what a rational explanation would be for a conventional object. Now, I do think that this is somewhat common for the type of phenomenon we witness, but I've never seen an object like this that is a tower of lights with this kind of blinking on and off of the orbs.
Incredible footage. And you also are producing these major documentaries that are coming out, as of the most recent, Dr. Greer's new documentary, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. We want to thank Jim Martin for sharing us a clip of the movie right now. It's with Edgar Mitchell. Take a look at this.
God, prana, chi, magic, consciousness. Every culture throughout history has had a word to describe this intangible energy that connects everyone and everything. Decades of laboratory studies, show that our minds have a mysterious ordering effect on quantum level phenomena. Despite overwhelming scientific evidence, most people would still be shocked to learn that certain scientists have known that the force is real for a very long time.
One of the people that I met in the course of doing this work was astronaut Edgar Mitchell, who was the sixth man to walk on the moon.
We have sightings of all sorts. There seems to have been a great deal of secrecy surrounding the so-called UFO event.
He had an experience in space, an expanded state of consciousness that led him to form the Institute of Noetic Sciences to study the science of consciousness. I also brought him to the briefing I did in 1997 with the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Tom Wilson. The data on that has since leaked out. Edgar Mitchell realized there was this connection between space and these extraterrestrial life forms and the science of consciousness that was very integral to the study. Most of the people that I have met with in senior science, NASA, aerospace, and intelligence community figures know that the key missing ingredient out of most people's understanding of the whole UFO phenomenon is the science of consciousness. The ETs are trying to encourage people to understand higher consciousness and universal mind, to be able to have a relationship with them that's going forward into the future. And Edgar Mitchell realized that quite early on because of his own personal experience out in space as the sixth man to walk on the moon.
What's the nature of the universe we live in? What is our relationship to the larger reality? If that's a part of the larger reality and we're denying it, that to me is unconscionable.
All right, we're back with Jim Martin, and we want to appreciate him sharing us these clips. We even have more clips coming up from the documentary itself, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, but I want to get to more sightings that Jim Martin has captured throughout the past 8 years of doing the CE5, Las Vegas, Nevada. Tell me about this sighting.
So this is a really unique sighting. This was a couple years ago, actually about 5 years ago in February. February 14th, 2015, I had gone to Las Vegas for a friend of mine's wedding. And this was during a time of a lot of UFO sightings were happening for me no matter where I traveled in the country. So I brought all my cameras with me to Vegas for this wedding with the intention of filming a UFO on this trip. Now I realize that sounds kind of crazy bringing camera gear to my friend's wedding, but at the time I just assumed I'd be able to produce phenomenon wherever I went. So I was determined to try over Las Vegas. So after the wedding, I was back in my hotel room that evening, and I concentrated my intention, sent out the thought request to produce a sighting, and a mere 10 minutes later, these strange orange lights appeared in the sky right over the Las Vegas Strip. And it was actually one of the nights Justin Bieber had a concert there. There was tons of traffic. You can see in the footage, this was just over to the right of the New York Hotel. You're going to see a couple of these orange lights that come in and out, and then a large kind of structure with a secondary smaller object attached to it. To me, it was very unusual. I'd never seen anything like it before. And the fact that I, initiated the protocols and had this response, for me was confirmation that it was a UFO sighting.
So where are these extraterrestrials coming from? Apparently, they're appearing for you at the speed of thought. Are they like appearing from out of nowhere, or are they just there and it so happens you're in the right place at the right time? What's your thoughts on that?
That's a really great question. I don't know exactly the answer to that. All I can do is report on my experiences. But what has happened is very fast materialization or sightings. There's been many cases where I've stared in the sky, sent out the thought, then a UFO will materialize in that exact spot where I'm looking at. Many other people have witnessed the same thing where they apply the protocols and instantaneously they'll have a sighting. Now, where they're coming from, I don't know. They could be from another dimension. When you initiate that contact, they respond and appear in our dimension. Other people think they may be coming down from space. I myself tend to think they are connected to our consciousness, whether they're spiritual beings or extraterrestrials. They are unique, generally attached to the person that is making contact with them. And I think we all have yet to figure out what they truly are.
Yeah, that's the big question to it all, isn't it, Jim? You've been doing this for quite a while, and it's interesting that you were inspired by Dr. Greer early on and Robert Bingham, but now you're behind producing some of these documentaries, like the latest feature. Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. We got another exclusive clip. Take a look, everyone.
When you accept what this science is showing us, that we are all connected, and you then say, well, hold on a second, if we're not just connected with human beings, but we're also connected with the plant life, with the planet itself, with the entire animal kingdom, and you begin to develop that deeper sense of empathy with all that, who's to say that that interconnectedness doesn't extend to all the other planets, to the cosmos? If we share that with extraterrestrials, what does that world look like?
If consciousness and thought can affect something at a distance, and at a very great distance, even many miles or thousands of miles away, instantaneously, what does that mean for us communicating with a civilization that is centered in the science of consciousness? And that is their chief operating system. It's not electromagnetic, they use it, but it's beyond that. So now add to everything we know about the internet and communications and telecom, and then add a deeper level of trans-dimensional physics that involve electronic devices very clearly picking up intended coherent thought. That's what you're dealing with. It's like Dr. John's random number generator experiment on a cosmic scale, but at a level of perfection where there's precision with the thought that you project to it, its reception, and then its activity. Interstellar civilizations are using consciousness-assisting technologies and technologies that assist their own consciousness, both, in all their travel and communication systems. The central operating system for any interstellar competent civilization is the science of consciousness and all the physics that go with that.
All right, we're back with Jim. And again, can you tell us when you got to meet Dr. Greer? I know he's been talking to heads of state behind the scenes in regards to this top secret information. Did he reveal to you anything that we haven't heard yet?
You know, I have had the privilege of talking to Dr. Greer for many years now, and it's been one of the great experiences of my life. I've always looked up to his work, and I've held him as the gold standard in the genre. So there's so many stories he's told me about that haven't been revealed to the public. But I think one of the really great stories that stick out that is relevant to the movie is the fact that, you know, in 1992, when Dr. Greer had this sighting in Florida, he initiated the CE5 protocols, and he had these 4 lights show up in the sky and form a triangle formation. It was all over the newspapers the next day. And that sighting, those protocols that he did with that group down in Florida actually prompted what was now known as the disclosure movement, which of course was broadcasted to the world on CNN. And when he did these CE5 protocols, that's what really caught the attention of the intelligence agencies when they realized he had figured out the Rosetta Stone, so to speak, of contact protocols. So I find it really interesting that Dr. Greer's contact events spawned the disclosure movement, and that's been one of the unique stories he's shared with me over the past few years.
Oh, incredible. So if somebody out there is just saying they're skeptical of you, Jim, and saying, oh, these are just anomalies out there in the skies, like maybe balloons or drones, what would you have to say to them?
Well, I would just say look at the footage. I think the footage speaks for itself. I try and post things that show intelligent control, advanced aero maneuvers, things that would defy natural aerospace or aeronautics of man-made craft. And I think, if you really look closely at the footage, I've sent this to all types of experts. Ben Hansen, FBI agent, has reviewed the footage, to Jeremy Corbell, Dr. Greer, all types of people have reviewed these recordings and verified them. I think you just have to ask yourself, if you can't demonstrate to me another piece of footage that exemplifies the recording I'm demonstrating, I think that stands as good, reasonable evidence. Secondly, if I can produce so many UFO sightings over my house and in different locations such as New York, you'll see the UFO recording I shot in Rochester, New York. It's very similar to one of the UFOs I shot at Newport Beach. I believe the phenomenon does follow you wherever you go. And in general, I just like to let the footage speak for itself.
And that's why we're sharing your videos right here at Third Phase Moon. We find them compelling. We think people need to explore the CE5 a little bit closer. We believe there's something behind it. So your UFO sightings come in different shapes and sizes. Tell us about the triangular formations, Jim.
Thanks for mentioning that. The triangle formations have been some of the most profound recordings and experiences I've had to date. When I was just starting out in early 2012, I saw an incredible triangle formation that was filmed at Robert Bingham's event, shot by John Graff.
Anybody see those? I don't know if anybody can see them or not, but they're there.
Oh, look at that formation, the classic formation.
Oh man, killing me here. Yeah, they're staying in one spot here.
Look at the triangle.
Holy
Robert!
Holy
Robert!
smokes.
I got it. There's a triangle. They're forming a triangle right there.
Take pictures.
I got it. They're right there.
Take pictures. That's them. They're in a triangle. That's the way they you know why they do it.
It was 3 perfect spears forming a perfect triangle over downtown LA. Now, after I saw that formation, I was so inspired by that, I really wanted to see the same sighting myself in Newport Beach. So I worked with Robert Bingham, focused on the protocols. After about 3 weeks of really meditating and focusing on the intention of having my own triangle formation at my apartment, sure enough, early January 2016, an incredible triangle formation of 3 yellow spears appeared right over my apartment in Newport.
So the sighting in Newport Beach, what is it, one craft in your opinion, or multiple
I think
crafts?
it's multiple objects forming this perfect triangle formation. They're independent yellow spears that seem to be maneuvering together to form this triangle formation. Then if you look in the footage later when the triangle disbands, the objects are maneuvering independently. One of them is flying much faster than the others, and you can see this variation of speed in the objects.
So there's 2 other videos of these triangular shaped formations. Tell us about
That's correct.
that.
So after this main formation in January, Newport Beach, the next triangle formation was an LA meetup event, which Robert Bingham hosted in April 2017. And in this situation, the night before the event, I meditated and I concentrated my attention, and I asked the phenomenon, please display a triangle formation for me and something with blinking lights, something that would be impossible for debunkers to disprove. And sure enough, the next day when we were at the event, we saw this incredible white spear followed by a small black spear flying through the air, which then ejected 2 smaller spears and formed a perfect triangle formation. And even strangely enough, the 2 smaller lights were flashing on and off just as I had requested in the meditation. That was really profound evidence of the thought-mind connection between the UFO phenomenon.
They're actually interacting with your thought process. Incredible. And one more encounter?
And then the last sighting was the most recent, and I would say most exciting recording I've had to date, and that was over my home in Long Beach, California. And this recording is actually featured in the movie in Long Beach, and this was October 2/18 at 2:30 p.m. when we saw this really large elongated spear. Now, this wasn't like the normal orbs I have filmed. This was more like a elongated moving portal. And as I put the camera on this object, amazingly enough, it shot out 3 spears, which formed a perfect triangle formation exiting the main object, again, making this confirmation of forming this triangle pattern and then kind of acknowledging my call and our communication together.
What kind of information or advice would you give to somebody if they're wanting to make contact?
Well, I would say I'd get familiar with the content, watch Dr. Greer's series, watch the new film Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, learn about, what these sightings look like, what are some of the protocols people are doing to learn this. But most of all, anyone can do this to make contact. You just have to go out in your backyard, concentrate your attention on the sky, let these beings know that you want to see them, ask them to reveal themselves to you, use an open heart, and I'm quite sure you're going to have an experience and a UFO sighting. There's a lot of great literature out there from Dr. Greer and from Robert Bingham, and from all the groups all around Los Angeles. There's a group called LA UFO Meetup, which gathers every month in Los Angeles. You can go to these groups, witness these sightings for yourself. And that's really how I learned. I learned from firsthand experience, from people showing and demonstrating the phenomenon to me. I then went off on my own, concentrated my attention, learned the protocols, and had hundreds of sightings. So I would encourage you to get outside, learn the protocols, check out Dr. Greer's CE5 app in the App Store. It gives you the exact mantras, meditations to follow, and just get out there and try, and you'll be surprised with the results you experience.
You know, it's interesting, you were once a follower and now you're kind of featured in this new documentary, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, showcasing your own evidence. Let's take a look at this clip right now.
When I first started out, it was shocking. The first few orbs I saw, the phenomena I saw, changed my entire paradigm. The first sighting was an incredible triangle formation of 3 golden spheres over my apartment in Newport Beach, California. I ran outside and saw this formation right above my house at close range, and I managed to capture it on film. As I put the lens on it, I saw they were 3 perfect golden spheres, all holding this incredible formation over my apartment. The longer I filmed, the more maneuvers they demonstrated, and it was clear the objects were under intelligent control. It was Christmas morning, December 2016. I was on my porch having coffee when I saw this incredible double-staged orb flying through the air. I was following this object upward, and it went right up like it was going to pass out of my line of sight when I asked the object, please turn back around. I didn't want the experience to end. Amazingly, it stopped, changed direction, then headed back downward. That was truly profound to me, that I could meditate, send my thought into the universe, and then have a visual response in the sky to confirm that we are interacting with each other. That says something about the nature of mind, the nature of the phenomenon itself, and the power of our own consciousness to interact. In October 2018, we had the biggest sighting I've seen yet in Long Beach, California. My girlfriend and I were in the backyard when we saw this huge white object in the sky. And this was different than most of the normal orbs I've filmed. This object was elongated and almost looked like a moving portal in the sky. Amazingly, once I got the camera on it, an incredible triangle formation of orbs shot out of this main object, and I captured it on film. You can hear how excited I am in the film to see this again, this triangle formation for the 3rd time.
Whoa, what the fuck is that thing? Wow. Holy shit.
Continued to film the object as it traversed across the sky, when suddenly it started ejecting a series of these smaller orbs, 50 smaller objects and counting. Strangely, I could only see the smaller orbs on my infrared camera. They were not visible to the naked eye. It goes to show you how much is flying around in the sky that we can't see.
All right, so there's Jim Martin, and he's been keeping his eyes on the skies, and he's been doing an incredible job. Jim, any last words for everybody out there that want to make contact and, you know, explore this subject matter?
I would just say, you know, keep an open mind, believe you can do it, and try and contact other people in your area that are already doing CE5. Partnering up with people and seeing the phenomenon for yourself will increase your ability to manifest it, your ability to believe in it. And I think once you get into this and you start seeing the sightings manifest, you'll open up a whole new door of possibilities that will truly change your paradigm. So don't be afraid. Go at this with positivity. And I would encourage anyone to watch the movie Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind or check out some of the research we've done here. And go outside and try for yourself, and I guarantee you'll be surprised.
Absolutely great, Jim. We're going to be supplying the link to the documentary itself, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, along with Jim Martin's YouTube channel. He's also on our featured list of favorite channels on our Third Phase of Moon site. Tell everybody, Jim, what's the name of your channel?
Thank you. My YouTube channel is Infamous Fan Club. I really appreciate you including me along your partner channels. I've always been a big fan of Third Phase of Moon. In fact, my very first UFO sighting was published on Third Phase of Moon. You guys have always supported my work, helped me get it out there to all the community, and I'm just very grateful to be back here all these years later with this movie and to be sharing this interview with you guys today. Thank you.
Sick, Jim. All right. Well, yeah, we're sharing the videos, we're sharing the evidence, and that's what we're going to continue to do right here at Third Phase of Moon. Everybody be safe out there. Hunker down. We're going to get through this, and we're going to get it through together, everyone. And the UFO videos, they don't stop, and that's what we're going to continue to share with you. Be safe, everybody. Blake Cousins, thanks, Jim. We'll see everybody again next time.